I left myself on mute. It's Friday night. You know what that means. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Yes, you know what it is. I clicked live. Some people I've seen, they say, guys, what goes on? You're on the thumbnail for like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I can't do the Gary Neville impression. Some people ask, why? Why are we on it sometimes? Sometimes you click live and it takes ages to sort of get through, and you're waiting on the back end, you're waiting, then suddenly it's like you are live. It's a whole thing. But this time, I clicked live, and I thought, I feel like when I was doing my checks, I didn't check whether my microphone was muted. It was muted. And then I thought, I'll try and switch it, and I couldn't. I had to wait till it came on. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's too early in the show to click that. Might get a copyright. Nevertheless, there's a lot to get into. Guys, it's Friday night, which means, you know what it means. It means people go out, they have fun, or they stay in. People like me, you don't get this kind of complexion by going outside. Are you kidding me? Even the moon could sunburn me, so we're here to talk about transfers instead. Rasmus Hojlund, yes, Rasmus Hojlund. We're talking about a deal possibly being done over the weekend. I know, you might say, we've heard it all before. No. It seems like certainly something is in the waters. Something is happening, as an infamous Barcelona journalist said a million times last summer. There's talks from Romano, Alfredo Padula, Sky Sports News, all saying the same thing. A new bid has gone in. It's still a little bit short of what Atalanta are looking for, but it looks like these talks are ongoing and they could be finalised over the weekend. We'll be talking about that. Plus, Harry Maguire, a bid has been submitted by West Ham United, and then very quickly rejected by Manchester United. We'll talk about that. Speaking of West Ham putting in bids for Manchester United players, Scott McTominay, a bid has also been rejected for him. A bit of an update when it comes to the Manchester United takeover drama, saga, whatever you want to call it, soap opera. A little bit on that, saying developments are going to come next week. I'll believe them when I see them. And a bit of an update on Kobbie Mainoo as well, because he's posted on Instagram for the first time since he suffered that injury against Real Madrid just a couple of days ago as well. How is everybody doing though? How's everybody doing? I can see you all in the chat at the moment. You've got Joel saying, big up from San Diego, California. We were just there. Well, I wasn't, but Flex and KG were. And Josh, they're now currently in Houston, en route to Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City. And hopefully not any sins from them. So big up to everyone in the chat as well. Nessie says, happy Friday, Owen and UV fam. Happy Friday indeed, Nessie. Appreciate you joining us this evening. Stella says, Maguire saying, Stella. I'm wearing the white shirt as well. Stella. Maguire is saying he wants a bigger club than West Ham. He is beyond delusional. Yes, we're going to be talking about that as well. So big up everyone for joining in. Smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Bottom right hand corner too. Let's talk about Rasmus Hojlund. What else have we got to talk about? There's so much talking about him this afternoon. In the last couple of hours or so, it's all going off regarding Rasmus Hojlund because Fabrizio Romano has said, and I'll try and do this in a linear fashion, Manchester United improved their bid to Atalanta during direct talks today. It will be more than a €60 million package, which of course the first bid that was put in earlier this week was a €60 million package. It was €50 million plus €10 million in add-ons. So this time, the next bid was going to be more than that. Hold that thought though, because there is another report that kind of disputes this. But Romano continues saying he understands negotiations are still on. Man United want to close the deal as soon as possible to focus on other positions right after. Hojlund's very clear. He wants United. So for all of that PSG talk, all of that PSG hijack nonsense yesterday, bit like what I said this morning, bit like what I said yesterday. No need to be concerned, no need to be worried, because it looks like United are going to win this race. Certainly from Rasmus Hojlund's point of view, there's only one club he wants to go to, and that's in Manchester, not in Paris. Now, Alfredo Padula has said that Manchester United have made a new bid of £53.1 million plus £4.2 million in add-ons. Atalanta, though, they're asking for £58 to £60 million. The add-ons will make the difference. Now, when you actually look at all of this, so they're suggesting here that Manchester United's bid is in a combination of, now I've got to do the maths, 57.3 million. It's Friday, 57.3 million, and Atalanta are looking for between 58 to 60. Basically, what he's saying there is United aren't there just yet, but they're not far off. They're not far off at all. A bit like Well, actually, with all of the deals we've done this summer, really, a bit like with Mason Mount, after we made that third bid, and they said, well, it's not exactly what Chelsea are looking for, but it's pretty close. A bit like Andre Onana, that final bid when it went in, and it was like, it's not exactly what Inter Milan are looking for, but it's pretty damn close. And that is when the add-ons become very important, like Alfredo Padula is saying right there. He's saying that the add-ons are going to make a difference because, in reality, these add-ons are going to bridge the gap between what United are willing to pay and what Atalanta are looking for. Atalanta will come down a little bit. United will increase their total package by offering more add-ons, but this is very close. So close, in fact, that Alfredo has also said that Manchester United want to sign Rasmus Hojlund this weekend. Now, it's currently Friday evening, so what he's really saying is, in the next 48 hours, this could be completed. Now, that would be United, for me, acting really, really fast. really, really fast. If we got by Sunday an announcement suggesting that the deal was done, closed and signed, it depends how United want to do it, of course, when it comes to announcing it, because United could very easily do the double announcement, which the double announcement is the first one, where they say, we've agreed a deal in principle to sign Rasmus Hojlund from Atalanta, etc., subject to work visa, medical, international clearance, blah, blah, blah. And then they do the other announcement a few days afterwards, once he's passed his medical, and there's pictures with him holding up a shirt, putting pen to paper, and all that kind of stuff. They might do it that way, or at the very least, it does feel like I'm hearing from sources that maybe, just maybe, we're going to get a here we go this weekend. That's what it kind of feels like. And given how close both sides are at the moment, given the fact United have put in this new bid for Rasmus Hojlund, that's fairly close to what Atalanta are looking for, given the fact that Atalanta too, they've just, I don't know if it's official by this point, but they've signed the replacement from Spain. I think they're signing the player from, I can't remember specifically what club they're signing him from, but he's undergoing a medical, so they're already planning for a future without Rasmus Hojlund, and that whole nonsense earlier on of we want 86 million pounds. Well, it's not going to be 86 million pounds. In fact, it's going to be closer to sort of 60 million, possibly lower than that, about 58. So that's why when initially those reports came out suggesting Atalanta want 86 million pounds, everyone went, ah, ha, 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 ha. 86 million pounds? Are you kidding me? No chance. It's going to be closer to 58 and you're going to enjoy it, okay? You're going to like it. That's what you're going to get. And indeed, it looks like that's what Atalanta are going to get as well. Some would say that's still overpaying. I mean, PSG themselves, when they put in that bid yesterday, they said, look, we're offering 50 million euros and not a penny more. And if Atalanta want any more than that, we're walking. Which, as I said at the time, means PSG are not going to win this race. Because one, United have offered more, and two, Atalanta want more. So really, their bid yesterday was completely redundant when you think about it. What was the point behind that? What did they really think was going to happen? Oh yeah, Atalanta will accept that one, even though United have offered an exact same fixed fee, plus more in add-ons. And Rasmus Hojlund's agreed personal terms with Manchester United since May. Granted, he may have agreed personal terms with PSG too, but how are you going to win a bidding war when you've bid less? Or the same amount for a fixed fee and the other clubs offered more? That makes no sense whatsoever. Now, as I mentioned, some will still say that United are overpaying for Rasmus Hojlund, which I think is probably fair. You know, this is a guy that has played one season in Serie A, scored 9 goals. Prior to that, he played in Austria over sort of 2 seasons, well, sort of half seasons, but 2 seasons. He scored 9 goals in total too. But I saw a clip earlier today from the Atalanta owner who was suggesting that, you know, last season he broke a record for scoring goals for an under 20 player or a 19-year-old or something like that. So clearly United feel that they're buying potential. They're not buying the finished article, and they have a lot of faith, and I do too, in fairness, of the current manager and technical staff, that they can shape, mould this big lump of clay into this star striker that they're looking for. And I think, to be honest, that's always been the plan, because if you cast your mind back, the initial plan was to buy 2 strikers this summer, one being Harry Kane-esque and the other being Rasmus Hojlund, and the Rasmus Hojlund would learn off the Harry Kane-style striker. The only problem is there's no Harry Kane-style striker at Manchester United, so it might be a bit of baptism by fire, and the reports that, well, it's okay, we're going to have Marcus Rashford to support him in a central role, that worries me, because we spoke about this morning, certainly I did with Marcel, that Marcus Rashford can do a job. up front, but he's a winger playing in a central role. He is not as effective. I don't think he has the football intelligence to play consistently as a number 9. His hold-up play isn't all that. It's just not to his strengths. That's the important thing to point out, isn't it? I mean, the sirens prove it. The sirens prove it, certainly, because it would be criminal to play Marcus Rashford up front all season. Because, again, that's just not... It's not playing to his strengths. His strengths are being wide out on the left, cutting inside, making... explosion of pace at players, sometimes running into blind alleys, but sometimes going past them and leathering it, putting his foot through the ball. That's what Marcus Rashford does. Playing centrally, holding up the ball, bringing in defenders with his back to goal, and link-up play, that just isn't it for Marcus Rashford, unfortunately. Not over a long-term, not over a full season, 38-plus games specifically in the league. That's not Marcus Rashford's strengths. He can do a job, for certain games, like he did in a half against Man City at Old Trafford last season. He can do that, but not over 38 games. So it does kind of concern me that we'd be bringing in Rasmus Hojlund and still being of the mindset that we're short up front, which, to be honest, we are. We are still short up front, even by bringing in Hojlund. But I guess the hope would be, you never know, he could hit the ground running and quickly adapt to the Premier League, and his potential under the right manager, under the right circumstances, with better players around him, could improve him quicker than first anticipated. Because I don't think signing Rasmus Hojlund changes that if Harry Kane's a free agent next summer, which I'm still not sure he will be, or even if he's not, even if he's gone to Bayern Munich, I still don't think it stops us going for, let's say, Victor Osimhen or someone of that ilk next summer. I still think come next summer, or maybe even January, because here's hoping the takeover situation would have maybe, you never know, resolved itself by then, that maybe we then start to go, right, we're going after that big name striker because we still need more up front as well. To be honest, given the preseason so far, and it's difficult to judge, obviously, particularly Rashford, only one game up front against Real Madrid, and it wasn't even a full game. But I'd rather have Sancho as the false 9 to support Rasmus Hojlund, plus an Anthony Martial that's not going to play full games because we've got another striker or other options, really. Because that means that Rashford plays out on the left, which is his better position, really. And I do think Sancho could pull it off. Again, not as our only option in the Premier League, because, again, certain games, certain physicalities, certain defenders, I'm not sure Sancho could really do what we wanted to. But I think as another option, I think Sancho could do that. We've seen his link-up play up front is better than Marcus Rashford's. His dropping deeper is better than Rashford's. It's still not great. Don't get me wrong. It's still not the solution to our striking issues. But as a support for Rasmus Hojlund, plus hopefully, and I say hopefully very loosely because we know how this is going to work, plus Martial being in that role, I think maybe that can work for a season, honestly. But I just think Rashford, I don't think we're playing to his strengths there. And I don't think that he would have the season that he had last year if he's playing more often than not in that central role as the 9, in my opinion. Now, just to go back to some of the Hojlund news today, in addition to this new bid going in and a feeling or a hope from United's point of view that the deal will be done over the weekend, Sky Sports News have also said that an agreement between Atalanta and Manchester United for Rasmus Hojlund is indeed edging closer. And people can call them slow sports news or whatever, but for Sky to say that, there's several hurdles and several levels that they have to go to, not only to get that information, but also to be happy to say that kind of information on the air and so widely. So again, that would imply that a deal is very much close. In the last couple of minutes as well, Santi Auna has also reported that Manchester United are close to completing the Rasmus Hojlund deal. Both parties are very confident to seal the deal. The contract of 5 years plus 1, and the deal could be finalised for around 65 million euros and 10 million euros of bonuses, also known as add-ons. So that's what, around 60 million pounds, something like that, maybe just below. And the 10 million euros in add-ons is what, about 7-ish. So they'll certainly get the total package they're looking for. And again, it would imply, I think, that a deal is fairly close. And don't be shocked if we get that, here we go, I think, maybe even tomorrow. I mean, the report is that United want to get it done as soon as possible. The report yesterday as well, from a lot of the British journalists, which would imply that they have been in conversation with United themselves, is that there's a hope and a feeling that Hojlund will be done before the beginning of the Premier League season, which is, I think it's 2 weeks today, isn't it? I saw something, someone saying that, which seems kind of crazy, doesn't it? That it's 2 weeks today. But you would say, oh, Hojlund in 2 weeks. But if we're going to get a here we go over the weekend, which is likely, then absolutely it's possible. If we get a here we go over the weekend, it's possible that he might be available for the final pre-season game in Dublin. So definitely one to look out for, no doubt about that. And of course, once that here we go happens or we get any more information, I'll be here. I'll be with you. I'll be guiding you through it as always. Let's have a look at the super chats here. Red Baron says, I watched a really good video on Tifo Football. Shout out to them. Why number 9s are used by managers? Because they are less predictable and becoming more common. There you go. Shout out to them, and you can go watch it too. False 9s being used there instead. And Ahmad says, we are overpaying for Hojlund, but when his salary is factored in, should be a good deal overall. Yes, that is true. I mean, obviously, he's getting a significant pay rise from Atalanta, but at the same time, it's still going to be lower than a lot of players at Manchester United. And also, I think they were pointing out... this is why, remember that story about a year ago or whenever it was about, United aren't going to break a new wage budget or a wage cap of, what did they say it was? 200k, something like that. I think it was like 200k. And at the time, I vividly recall myself and Flex doing a stream, and we both said, well, it's nonsense. I mean, it's great if they could actually apply that, but there are several players actively already over 200k that were looking to sign to new contracts, people like Marcus Rashford, so it's already going to be broken immediately, and it does nowadays prevent you from getting the elite caliber of players that we're looking to get. So I didn't really see much weight in that at the time. Not to say that Rasmus Hojlund would break that, because he wouldn't. He'd be on significantly lower. But still, I think there has been a desire from United to get the wage bill down, and they've done that quite effectively so far this season too. In this summer transfer window, rather. But I think you're right there, Ahmad, when it comes to, it's not as if a lot of money is going on Hojlund's wages. And sometimes it's difficult with young players, isn't it? Because from United's point of view, it's an investment in the future, isn't it? They see it as buying potential, and that's what Atalanta will say. Atalanta will value him by saying, you don't know what you're getting here. You're getting an incredible young player. You're getting an incredible talent. And in a couple of years' time, whoa, he's going to be worth so much money. That's why you're paying now. That's what they'll say, of course. But it's upon United to get the best deal as well. What else are people saying in the chat? Red Baron says, Owen, you're a cheat and a disgrace. What have I done? What have I done? Have I missed out something? Have I missed something? I'm not sure. Minna, you can let me know. Minna's in the chats. Remember, for 3 months, and just... Queen Mean, obviously. The minions are in the chat. Says, big up to Owen and the community. No comment on the transfer news. Just saying I love the community. And the community loves you, Minna. Shout out, Minna. And by the way, Minna's channel is in the chat too, so be sure to check it out and subscribe. There's over 1,000 people watching right now, so there's no reason, unless you're subscribed anyway, that you can't go to her channel and subscribe to it. Road to 1k for Minna. In addition to that, she's doing, because I saw there was one today, doing watch-alongs for all of the a lot of the Women's World Cup matches. So if you haven't already, go subscribe and go support. The UV community is communitying. So go support Minna's channel as well. What else are people saying in the chat too? It's Friday. Jason says, here we go this weekend, and then medical Tuesday/Wednesday. A lot of people talking about Harry Maguire. We're going to get to Harry Maguire in just a second as well. Elizabeth says the deal must be done this weekend. Certainly, again, possible that... Well, the thing is with the deal too, because personal terms have been agreed since May, the only thing, it's a bit like the Andre Onana deal, and it's a bit like the Mason Mount deal, where personal terms were agreed first and way ahead of time. So the only thing was just to wait until the fee was agreed. And the very moment that a fee was agreed, it was here we go and done, because everything else is ready to go. So, for instance, the moment there was a breakthrough and a fee agreed in terms of price, we got an Ornstein exclusive. We logged on to Ornhub, and it's done. It's happening. Same with Andre Onana. It was, they've agreed a fee. It's done. It's happening. And it'll be the same when it comes to Rasmus Hojlund. The very moment that Atalanta and United go, yep, that's a fee we're both happy with, we're going with that, it's done. It's shake hands and finish, because the personal terms are not a problem. So I think that's why they're saying that, they're really close for the fee, so they're really close to getting the deal done. In terms of honesty. Red Baron says it's a term of endearment. Well, certainly it is on this channel. You're a disgrace, you're a cheat. Absolutely. And it does find its way in just to everyday life. And I will give you guys a warning. If you're like me, because I notice that I do this a lot now, and you go around just saying, without even really realizing, it's a disgrace, it's a cheat, or saying to someone specifically, you're a disgrace, you're a cheat, they're not in on the joke. So when they're not in on the joke, they can absolutely take offense to it. This has caught me out several times. I'll go, oh, you're a disgrace and you're a cheat. And they'll be like, excuse me? Oh, right, yeah, you're not aware of that. Because when you call someone a disgrace, just the first part of it, a disgrace, that's quite heavy. And certainly a cheat. What have I cheated at? You're a cheat. Oh my God. What are you trying to say? So absolutely, be careful. Be careful with it. I mean, it can full on Booker T territory.
Tell me, he didn't just say that.
It's happened to me too many times. You got to be careful. You got to be very, very careful when it comes to that. Be sure to smash a like on the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right-hand corner. How many likes are we currently on at the moment? Well, it's 231. That's how many we're on, which isn't bad going, actually, considering the time. I'm applying Marcel maths to this, which is always very dangerous, I know. But we've been live for nearly 22 minutes, and we're currently at 235 likes, which is pretty good going. That's good pace. By the Marcel maths, it should be... for every 10 minutes, it should be 100 likes. You just times the minutes by 10. So we're doing well so far, but I believe we can go higher. We're on good pace. Very good pace at the moment. In fact, that means we can maybe even go higher as well, which is very exciting too. Let's talk about Harry Maguire. Yes. This is quite an interesting one because West Ham have put in a bid for Harry Maguire, the former Manchester United captain, but it's been rejected. It was an exclusive by David Ornstein. We logged on to Ornhub twice in one day. We've got a problem. Manchester United rejected a £20 million offer from West Ham to sign Harry Maguire permanently, he said. David Moyes is keen on the England centre-back, but it's unlikely that West Ham will push again amid the feeling the 30-year-old wants to fight for his Manchester United place, plus salary is also an issue. As I mentioned, David Moyes is keen on him, but they don't think it's going to happen because Maguire wants to stay, fight for his place, and the salary, of course, is a problem. He's on 200k a week, something like that, maybe even more. What's also quite curious is the Times are reporting that Harry Maguire would prefer to play for a bigger club than West Ham. Now, first of all, let's start off with the positive. The positive is, I think United are right to reject that offer. 20 million for Harry Maguire is not enough. We can do better in terms of price. Now, granted, some people may say, well, 20 million's only as really high as West Ham can go because his salary is so big, which is true. From their point of view, they're saying, look, if we're going to at least attempt to pick up Harry Maguire's contract, and they won't give him 200k, it'd be like 150, something like that. Maybe even down to 100. But they're saying, look, to try and pick up his contract, to buy out his contract is what they're essentially doing. 200k, like, it's a lot. It's a lot. And we'd maybe have to put a big signing on fee to try and, make him whole, as it were, to compensate for losing a couple of years on a big contract like that. So maybe that's their point of view. I still think we can get more. For as much as the criticism as he gets, for the slander that he gets, and some of it justifiably so, some of it way over the line, personally, in my opinion, we can get more for Harry Maguire. We can get at least 30, 35, maybe even 40 for him, because he is an England international. And wherever he goes, if he's playing football, he's going to play for England. He is going to be at the European Championships next summer if England qualify. He just is, because Gareth Southgate loves him. So United can do better from that point of view. So I saw that and I went, well, at least that's a start. When I read the first half of it, I went, at least that's a start. But I do understand what they're saying about the wages. That's a problem. That is absolutely an issue. But you factor in as well English tax and all that kind of stuff. And who really puts in ever one bid, gets rejected and never comes back? They always come back for more. Absolutely, they come back for more, I thought. It's sort of the second half that worries me about it in reality. It's the point where he wants to fight for his place. I mean...
it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Fight for his place. At this point, what is there worth fighting for? There's nothing left. If you were still fighting at this point, the referee would wave it off. He's doing a standing 10 count at this point on your United career. And he's up like 7 or 8. And you haven't put your hands up like this. You're not showing anything like it's not happening. There's no place left to fight for at this point. What else do you need to see? I would say to him. Again, I feel like I'm going crazy because I've said this for weeks at this point, and I cannot believe there is nobody around him, or at the very least someone that he listens to, that isn't saying the same thing to him at this point, which is, mate, you barely played last season. Towards the end of the season, you weren't getting games. The only reason you played against Sevilla in that Europa League game is because two centre-backs were injured. Two of them had to get injured for you to get game time. And you were the captain then, and since then, you've lost the armband. They've taken it off of you. Not for any disciplinary issues, which is usually the case for someone losing the captaincy at a club. Most of the time, the reason you're no longer the captain at a club, in the Premier League, at a club like United anyway, a top club, is disciplinary issues or you leave. He got stripped of the captaincy because Erik ten Hag said to him, you're not good. You're not right for the captain. I'm giving it to someone else. You haven't done anything wrong. You're just not good enough. So what more does he need to see that's worth fighting for? There is no place there. In front of him are two World Cup winning centre-backs, Rafael Varane, Lisandro Martinez. Even then, you could go, well, Rafael Varane could get injured. Ahead of him is Victor Lindelof. We saw that at the end of last season. Lindelof came in and he did very, very well. He firmly established his position as the number 3 centre-back at Manchester United. So much so that people actually said, wow, actually, that whole time where people have been criticising Lindelof for however many years since he signed him, when was it, 2018 or whatever, actually, was that just because he wasn't with the right partner at centre-back? Maybe. It might have been that. There's nothing left to fight for apart from the fact that you're on a big contract that you know you won't get anywhere else. That's the only thing worth staying for at this point. Because you're not going to play, you're not the captain. What's there left to do? What is there left to do apart from sit on the bench? And that's just about it. And there should be people around him that are saying, mate, you are 30. And as much as you know I'm going to be in the European Championship squad next year regardless, you're at a very critical age for a defender. Because, yeah, I mean, you don't know you're going to get picked. You're assuming it. But even if you're Gareth Southgate, when do you pick up the phone and say to him, look, Harry, even when I picked you for the World Cup last year, I was getting shit for it. The reason I was getting stick for it at that time is because you weren't playing. Now, granted, I could have said, well, it's only a few months. World Cup was in December. Season starts in August. It was only a few months of you not really playing. You were playing a bit in the Europa League. I can get away with it. But you can't get away with it for another full season. That's like 18 months of barely playing. How can you justify selecting him for the England squad? As much as you can say, well, he's one of the best English defenders that we've got right now, there are other English defenders that we know are better and more suited that are playing games. You can't go into a European Championship barely playing all season. You just can't. So someone, for the sake of his career, again, needs to get around him and say, I understand if it's a pride thing. I understand that you know that wherever you go next, it's going to be a step down from United. You're not going to make a lateral move. You're certainly not going to make a step up. But what's best for your career right now? What's best for your career right now is that you go and you play. And even if you go to West Ham, which you consider a move down in terms of club size, of course it is. But if you go there and you play well, you might get a move somewhere else. You might be able to go to a club that you consider big enough for whatever quality or capability you believe. But as of right now, it ain't working. And it's not working out. Like, it's done. The writing's been on the wall a while. But if you're just refusing to read it, then that's on you. And if you don't get picked for for the European Championship again, that's on you. And this was my concern, and now it still is my concern. Seeing news like this is he's like, no, I'm going to fight for my position, and then he's not going to play for however long until January. I can't even do the maths at the moment. It's too late, and I haven't slept that much over the last few days. But he won't play for months, and then January it's, well, I've got to go out on loan. I've got to go out on loan for the sake of getting in the European Championship squad. Again, anyone could have told you that. Anyone could have told you that at the time. So I hope it's not the last bit that goes in, because again, I do think United are right to reject that amount of money because it's not enough. But the part of, well, I just want to stay and fight for my spot, there's no spot worth fighting for at this point. Like, again, it's done. Like, when it comes to Harry Maguire and his United career, the writing was on the wall a long time ago, and now it's firmly even more on the wall. So, again, I think it's, I saw that and I thought it was staggering, really. And then to say that, the news that, oh, he would prefer to play for a bigger club than West Ham. Where does he think he's going to go, in all honesty? I mean, he's looking for a lateral move from Manchester United, even in the Premier League. Where is he going to go? He's not going to go to Man City. He's not going to go to Arsenal. He's not going to go to Liverpool. He's not going to go to Newcastle. I mean, you could argue maybe, but I think even at this point, Newcastle, with the trajectory that they're on, they probably say no. Is he going to go to Spurs? Not with the new football that Spurs play. I think you have to think of systems as well, because particularly at United, this is also part of the problem with United too, is that he doesn't fit the United system anymore. Particularly, you saw how high the line was against Spurs that we're playing, particularly now that Andre Onana is way high up too. They can't even play like a deep line anymore because Onana's too high. So it's going to be a high line, which we know that Maguire just can't do. Again, that's just capability stuff. There's no doubt Harry Maguire's not a bad defender, but in this system, it just doesn't work. No, it doesn't work. So again, for the sake of his career, he needs to go. There's no spot worth fighting for, certainly. I have seen, by the way, I've seen the tweet, but I just didn't want to lose my train of thought. I'm bad enough as it is. So that's the latest when it comes to Harry Maguire. I would think there might be another bid coming in for him at this point, but this was always my concern, is that he's going to have to sort of court the bids, and I don't think he really is as well. So that's the latest for Maguire. Yes, I have seen the tweet about Fabrizio Romano and Donny van der Beek. I will read it out to you. He's just tweeted in the last 2 minutes. He has said, and I quote, that Real Sociedad are actively working to sign Donny van der Beek from Manchester United. It's true, almost like Kurt Angle, as, oh my goodness me, now if I try and say this, Notias de Gibazukska, miles off, Owen, that was, but as an outlet, which I think, where is that from? Is it Spain? Where is that? It's got to be Spain. I was right. It's Spain. Good knowledge, Owen. Well, it's not. It's a bit of a jump, really. It's not that difficult, actually, Owen, is it? Really? I mean, it's about Real Sociedad. Of course, it's going to be Spain. Nevertheless, he has said that Real Madrid are actively working to sign Donny van der Beek from Manchester United. Negotiations are ongoing, but still no agreement on the formula of the deal and personal terms. Talks continue. Man United wait for Donny/Fred to leave, then push for Amrabat. Now, I don't know what you guys are expecting me to do or say. People can say the Donny van der gender and all that kind of stuff. I pointed out at the weekend, whenever it was, that the game against Real Madrid, I actually thought he played really well when he came on, Donny. I thought out of the second half players that came on, I thought he looked quite bright. I thought he looked quite lively. I thought he made some decent runs. I thought his link-up play was good. In particular, in a game that I thought our first touch got progressively more sloppy and more lackluster and more lethargic as the game on. I thought he did well. Honestly, I thought he did really well. It hasn't changed my opinion. I've said that I feel like he needs to go for a long time. Again, and this is another one for the sake of his career. He's almost in a worse Maguire situation, really, which is the case of he could be like, I'm going to stay and fight for my spot at Man United. No spot to fight for when it comes to Donny van der Beek. There are way too many players ahead of him at this point, even to the point that an 18-year-old academy graduate's come through in pre-season and he's ahead of Donny now in the pecking order. And we've made a signing as well in Mason Mount. He's ahead of Donny in the pecking order. And the writing's been on the wall a while, and I understand he hasn't had the best of luck when it comes to injuries, but that's also something that United have to consider too. Maybe is he a bit injury prone? The last few years he's had a few injuries, and we all said when Erik ten Hag came in, if it doesn't work with Erik ten Hag at United for Donny, then it's not going to work, period. I understand that when it was Ollie, did Ollie ever even want him? It was a player that he was going to go to Madrid. It fell through. He was available. We were desperate. Let's bring Donny in. What we're going to do with him, I have no idea. And it was always like that. That was a time when it was frustrating. But since then, when he's had the opportunities, albeit brief, never a real full run in the team, I understand that. But you're always wanting more. You're always waiting for more. And for the sake of his career, again, he needs to go. He needs to go because when he came to United, he was in international squads at tournaments. And now, again, he's miles off it. And that's unfortunate because he's not bad. He's not bad. He just might not be suited to Man United. He might not be suited to the Premier League. I think he'd go to La Liga and do really well. It's a bit less physical. It's more cultured in terms of technical ability. And I think he'd do really well there. Obviously, they've just lost David Silva because David Silva's retired. Not to say that Donny van de Beek is David Silva because he's not. He's not David Silva. Even an aging David Silva. We saw him play at Old Trafford last season for Real Sociedad, and he was brilliant because he still is like one of the best midfielders ever. But I think that would be a good signing for them, and I think that would be a good deal for us. They haven't really said how much or anything like that. It should be a permanent deal. But these are the kind of players that, again, just need to be moved on at United. People like Donny van de Beek, people like Fred, and then you bring it again, an Amrabat. And then you're looking at your midfield options this season. You're looking at Casemiro, you're looking at Mason Mount, you're looking at Christian Eriksen, you're looking at Kobbie Mainoo, then you're looking at Amrabat, and then all of those other ones possibly could go. And through that options that we have, I think is really positive. I mean, again, I think the biggest indication for Donny's place in the team at the moment is when we played Arsenal, we made 10 substitutions at half time. He didn't come on, I don't think, against Arsenal, did he? And nobody noticed. You know, nobody noticed that. Some people are saying it might be a loan. That's not what Romano has said here. I mean, it might be what the Spanish outlet was saying. I'm not sure. Let me see if I can read the article. Obviously, I can't read Spanish, but let's see if we can get a translation going. Translate. See, these are the things you can do when you're live. It's always fun, isn't it? There we go. Real Sociedad negotiates with Manchester United to get the services of Donny van de Beek. The club intends to sign the Dutch midfielder on loan with a purchase option. Van de Beek, 26, has a contract with the Red Devils until 2025 and talks about all this kind of stuff, his time at Manchester United as well and all that kind of stuff. So they're saying it is a loan with a purchase option, although they haven't said whether that would be an obligation or just an option. That's the difference. I mean, United are actively negotiating as well at the moment a loan actually with Nottingham Forest for Dean Henderson. The difference is with that one is that it's an obligation to buy, and apparently the hold-up for it is the amount of time it would take to trigger that obligation. Forest are looking for it to be 30 games to trigger the obligation. United are looking for it to be like 5 games, something like that, because you can see what Forest could do theoretically, particularly if they have a bad season that looks like they're going to get relegated. Suddenly they stop playing Dean Henderson and that obligation disappears. They don't have to pay however much it would take if it's 30 million or something like that. From United's point of view, they want it to be like, no, if we're letting him go on loan to you again, you're paying for him. Like, it's going to happen. It might be the case you don't have the money right now, but you've got to get it. So, and again, United are right to do that. United would be really dumb and naive if they let Dean Henderson go on loan to Forest, even with an obligation to buy, but that obligation is triggered after 30 games. Because by that period of time, it could be very obvious what position Forest could be in for next season. And we've seen high-profile clubs just not play players, again, in order to not trigger certain things. So that, I think that would be done from United. And they are right to be saying, okay, well, we're happy to do that deal if it's really quick that you give us the money, because that's it. Obviously, I know that Forest are struggling with FFP, but if they're struggling with FFP, that's not United's problem. You know, if they say, look, we can't afford to spend 30 million on Dean Henderson, well, sorry, that's how much he costs. We'll find somewhere else. And they say, oh, we can't, well, it'll be up, but we might come January or something like that. What are you going to do? Take them at their word or anything like that? I don't think so. So that's one that's still ongoing, certainly. But that's the latest when it comes to Donny van de Beek as well, is that Real Sociedad have put in, certainly trying to negotiate a loan deal with an option to buy, or with a buy clause. They haven't said whether it's an option or mandatory or anything like that. If we get any more information on Donny, of course, we'll let you know in future videos. Also, let's talk about Scott McTominay, since we're talking about midfielders too. It's been reported by The Times, as I mentioned, that West Ham have made a verbal offer for Scott McTominay, which fell short of the 45 million demanded by United. They haven't said how much that verbal offer was for. Again, I think that, I said this morning, really. I've said this the last few days, and I know people disagree when it comes to that as well, but Scott McTominay, to me, is worth at least 40 million for United. And people will say, no, he's not. He's 20 million. He's rubbish, Owen. He's awful. Just get rid of him. And I agreed with, there was a super chat this morning that I think summed it up really well. You can't win, basically. with some people. Shock horror, I know, in today's age with social media. But we say that, oh, we don't sell players, and then when we do sell players, we sell them for like 10 million or 50 million. We don't get enough for players. You got to negotiate. You have to. And as much as people can think that he's rubbish and he's a championship player, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. Look at the pros of Scott McTominay. He's an academy player. He's a homegrown player. So I know he's Scottish, but it's basically, let's call it British tax. British tax on McTominay, homegrown tax. He's played, I think, over 100 games for United in the Premier League. For several seasons, he was a starting midfielder for us under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know we do our very best to forget about the days of McFred, but that was every single week for a long time under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? So there's Premier League experience. Talk about Premier League proven. He scored more goals than the player they've just sold in Declan Rice in the Premier League. Again, he's not better than Declan Rice. Declan Rice is better, but the point being is he can get you a goal, which in the Premier League from midfield is key too. He's a box-to-box player, not a defensive midfielder. So the point being is that, yeah, he'd be worth 40 million. And also, you're seeing people like Gallagher being bid for by West Ham for like 40 plus million. Granted, Gallagher's not on the same level of wages that McTominay's on, but absolutely he can be worth 40 million. In today's market, yeah. And it's not as if West Ham can't complain, oh, we don't have the money. Yeah, you do. You just sold Declan Rice for over 100 million. You definitely have the money. And we know you've got the money. And it's about time Man United start, pulling pounds down from people. They always do it to us when we're negotiating. We end up overpaying and underselling. So when we're sometimes being a bit stubborn when it comes to some of these prices, we're absolutely right to. We've got absolutely Scott McTominay should be available for sale this summer, but it does have to be the right price too. We can't just be desperate. And then if you want Man United to be desperate and you're that badly you want Scott McTominay gone, then you can't complain when United get 20 million if you're that desperate. You can't have it both ways, basically, is the point I'm trying to make. You can't be like, get rid of him at all costs. And then when we get rid of him at all costs, 20 million, 50 million, go, we should have got more for Scott McTominay. No, we should get what's right. We should get the right value, particularly in the current inflated market. Particularly with a lot of Premier League clubs that do have the money. I know certain Premier League clubs, who spoke about Forest earlier, they're under FFP, they've got FFP restrictions, and some clubs do, but some clubs like West Ham definitely don't. So you've got to do what's right. And also, when you're thinking about other transfers this summer, you're thinking about Amrabat, and you're thinking about others, and then you look at McTominay and you go, if we can sell them, like say a McTominay for 40 million, and we could get rid of Maguire for like 35, 40 million, that's nearly 80 million quid. That's enough to get another player. I mean, we're talking about Amrabat, but Amrabat plus someone else. And if we can bring someone else in, let's say a cheap striker that's a little bit older, suddenly our options up front are a lot better. And I think maybe that's part of it too, going, look, we can be desperate and we can just get players out for the sake of getting them out. Or we can negotiate, we can get a bit more, and maybe then we can squeeze out one more signing, and that could be the difference for us this season. Not saying it could win us the league or anything like that, but in just terms of competing in a league that I think might be a little bit more competitive with the big teams this season, that would be smart business. It's important not to panic and not be certainly desperate as well. Or, again, I know in the chat, RT11 says, no, we need another centre-back, Owen. Possibly, but I think at the moment, if you gave me, even if we got rid of Maguire, and you go, what would you rather get, a centre-back or another striker? Another striker, any day of the week. Because again, it's too much to ask of Rasmus Hojlund to be the starting striker for United every single week. As of right now, even if we got rid of Harry Maguire, we'd still just about have enough at centre-back. We'd have Varane, we'd have Martinez, we'd have Lindelof. Shaw can play there too. In addition to that, I know people are going to go, Johnny Evans, but it's an option. And I'd rather take that risk there as opposed to taking the risk up front. Because last season, the biggest issue for us was scoring goals. We need options up front. In comparison to all of the top 6 rivals, frankly, the top 10 in the Premier League, we were nearly at the bottom when it came to goals scored. We need options. We need options up front, and it can't just be Hojlund or Rashford plays up front. And even when we're talking about Sancho playing false 9, it's an option, but it's not the option. And it's not to say who we would bring in would be the option, but it's just more... It's a possibility of more goals up front and more recognised strikers up front as well. That's what we absolutely need. So I think that's why United are right to negotiate and say that, we want at least, because they say they're on 45 they want for McTominay. I think if they got an offer of 40, they probably accept it and they go, that's good money. We'll take that. We'll sell him. We'll get rid of him for that. And then plus again the Maguire thing, maybe that's a bit low again because his wages are so big. but someone needs to have a word with Harry Maguire and say, mate, you need, honestly, you need to go. Like, it's not going to happen. Fight for your place all you want. I know people might look at like the Aaron Wan-Bissaka situation and say, well, there was a player that was definitely going to go and he fought for his place, and there's an argument now he's the top right back at United, but there was only one right back at United at the time. It was Diogo Dalot. There's significantly more players ahead of Harry Maguire than it was at right back with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So I just don't see that happening. So again, I think United are right, my point being, to negotiate and demand a higher price for McTominay, because I don't... Just selling him for 20 million, I don't think does United justice, honestly. And for those people that say, oh, I don't care, I just want him out the door, you will care when we can't afford to get in another player that we need. Because again, that's just how the business is going to work this season. Obviously, in an ideal world, the takeover would be sorted. We'd have an extra 50, 60 million put in by the new owners. And then this time next year, we'd be talking about a lot less restrictions from an FFP point of view. But at the moment, that's not the situation we're in. And we have to deal with the circumstances that we've got right now. Eric Ten Hag and John Murtough can't really change that much by the bullshit that's going above them at the moment. Hopefully, that's going to be sorted next week. Can you imagine? We'll talk about that in a second. But again, I think it's the right thing to do for United to negotiate, certainly. How many likes are we currently on at the moment? We're currently at 372. We've got nearly 1,300 people watching. So if you haven't already, click the like button. We can get to 500 easy, I think. There's still plenty of time. There's still at least, like 15 minutes to go. We can get to 500, maybe even more. For a solo stream, I tell you what, not bad. Not bad at all. Another super chat here from Daniel Luciano, long-time supporter of the channel. It says, very late, but sat across from the WWE guys in New Jersey. Yes, the WWE guys were there at the stadium at MetLife in New Jersey. In fact, obviously, there was that video of Ten Hag meeting with Amos, an MVP. And there was, he said, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you. And I told you the story, didn't I, about KG meeting Amos, not knowing who he was. Amos, by the way, if you're not a wrestling fan, which I know there's quite a few, is like 7'3". He's a big guy. And 7'3" is one thing on television. In real life, 7'3" is massive. So massive that KG went up to him and shook his hand without knowing who he was and said, you're massive, mate. Now, that would be one thing, but I told KG who he was. I told KG who Amos was. I said, he's your guy. I said, KG always asked me, he goes, are there any Nigerian wrestlers? And I said, there is. Amos, he's 7'3". He's the Nigerian giant. He wrestled Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He lost, but he wrestled Brock Lesnar. And KG went, that's great. Ah, that's amazing. And he met him, and he didn't know who he was. Classic KG. Speaking of KG, actually, that's just reminded me, because I completely forgot to play this. I've got a clip to play you. Now, some of you may not have seen this. Some of you may have seen this on social media today. It's taken social media by storm. But it was also a part of the mega vlog for New York. Part 2 of the mega vlog. And it features, get this, KG the comedian and Flex Flexington meeting none other than Facundo Pellistri's father. I'm not joking. Take a look.
Funniest moment happened. You need to believe people. I was chilling, and then this guy was a doubting man. Yeah. He said, listen, I was talking about Facundo. Everyone knows at home. He loves Facundo. I love Facundo. Yeah. So everyone knows. I say, Facundo. Yeah. That's what everyone knows that. So I said to him, oh, I'm his father. He don't believe me. He said, no way. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And I said, look. He goes, look. You see, even mi amigo. Yeah. He was like, that's his father.
No, but then he got his driving license out, and it said Pellistri. I went. Nah.
The vacation picture, and then he started.
Oh, even in the vacation, he had to show him more than one picture. And it's like
a full Photoshop, you know.
I saw the license. Even at the license, I said, I know you're the father. Congratulations. Well done.
Marcelo, by the way, Marcelo.
Well done.
Wow.
Your son is amazing.
Amazing.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, man.
And how did it feel, when he made that move?
Very proud.
Yeah, that must have been incredible,
Yes.
Did he always want to play football? Was he always?
Yes, always. Since he was 4 years.
When did you realize my son has talent? When was the moment when you said, you know what? I think this could be it. This is
14, 15 years.
really
Wow. His debut in Peñarol was with 17 years.
wow.
What was the moment like when he made his debut for Manchester United, or his first start? Was it Europa League?
Was Betis? No.
Betis, Sociedad.
That's yeah.
Sociedad. See, I know what Facundo. I know. I know. But no, it's too late. It's too late. But how proud was you?
No party. No Facu, no party.
Was it a proud moment for the family seeing him make his debut?
Very proud.
Wow. Manchester United.
And he's quick.
Manchester United.
He's very quick. You know, he can, especially on the right-hand side. He's a good player. We hope. I'm still hoping. No spoilers. I'm still hoping that he can do something in his pre-season and force his way into the manager's ideas.
We have to see. We have to see. We have to see.
Hope, Papa. Papa, we have to hope.
Facundo. Could you imagine? I mean, typical KG. People, again, I feel like that's a thing that he genuinely spoke into existence, because before every game, every single time when Facundo Pellistri's on the bench, he goes, Facundo! And he met his dad. And it's typical KG of standing around going, Facundo, man. He goes, I'm his father. Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, it's incredible. And also, KG's been trying to learn Spanish, I know. And he brings in the journalist, Uruguayan journalist, shout out to him, mi amigo. Mi amigo. Classic KG. I also, I can't say actually, wow, I kind of can. I got a video call from KG very late on in Houston, Texas today. Very early in the morning, shall I say. He's enjoying his time there. Maybe too much. But big up Flex, KG and Josh. They're absolutely killing it. They're actually, again, I think, if not in the air, at an airport right now, on their way to Las Vegas for the final game in Nevada against Borussia Dortmund, to shout out to them. And be sure to check out all the tour content. Everyone's really enjoying it. Certainly. Now, a bit of an update when it comes to the takeover stuff. I know, honestly, I'm the same as you. Basically, Kaveh Solikov, this one kind of came out of nowhere today, really. He was on Sky Sports News, Kaveh, and he said there are expected to be developments on the potential sale of Manchester United next week once they return from the United States of America after completing their pre-season tour. There are 2 current bids in for Manchester United, one from Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani, aka Al Thans, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe of Ineos. And I went, wait a minute. Wait. There are expected to be developments on the potential sale of Manchester United next week.
Bullshit.
I will believe it when I see it, okay? How long have we waited? You're telling me that suddenly the Glazers now have got a timeline. Suddenly they've gone, well, wait till they get back to announce something. No, next week will come and go. I'd love to be wrong in a positive way, not like the development is, we're staying, Wolf of Wall Street, we're not going anywhere. You can piss off. You're not going anywhere. But, which, to be honest, legitimately is kind of worrying me at the moment, really, about that. Like, genuinely, part of me is like, please don't happen. But the idea that, they're just waiting for to come back off the tour. No, come on. At this stage, it's just randomly one day, it's just going to be done. Or it's not, in terms of, like, they're going to go, we're staying. I don't think in terms of, like, they're not waiting for anything. They've waited for so many things. They're waiting for Easter. They're waiting for the season to end. They're waiting for the transfer window to open. They're waiting for this. They're waiting for that. They're not waiting for anything. The only thing, actually, that they're waiting for is money. That's all they're waiting for. They're waiting for more money. They've realised their options have reduced significantly. I.e., the Jim Ratcliffe bid is still in. He hasn't been told it's off the table, it's not happening. But at the same time, those within Manchester United, it was reported by David Hellier, did the interview with Flex, that the deal at the moment is not sustainable. It could not get approval from within United because there is going to be litigation if indeed they go down that route. Therefore, there's one bid left on the table. Technically, there's still 2, but there's one bid that actually could go through, which is the Sheikh Jassim bid. In addition to that, it's not enough. It's not enough that the Glazers are looking for. But they're in a corner because there's only one bid, but it's not what they're looking for. It's not enough. So what do? And they've been thinking about it. So maybe next week there might be developments because they go to Sheikh Jassim and say, can you give us some more money, please? And then if I was Sheikh Jassim, I'd go, no, I'm not giving you more money. How many bids did he put in at this point? Was it 6? In a 3-round bidding process? It's nuts. It was crazy. So I don't know if we get a takeover update next week, honestly. At this point, it's proper boy who cried wolf territory, isn't it? And we've heard the cries of wolf so many times. It's like at the end, where he says wolf, and he gets eaten. I think that's how it works. Now, I'm not hoping that anyone gets eaten in this, although I don't think there's any wolves involved. The point being is, I think one day there'll be a report, like something's going to happen today, and then we're like, yeah, whatever, and then it does, and we go, well, sorry for not believing you, because we've been fooled 10 million times. You remember even, how long ago was it about the whole private company, or the company being established here in the UK, or Rio Ferdinand standing on the platform, wherever he was going when he just got off the train? How many times have we heard that kind of stuff? So many times at this point. And I'm not having a go at Rio, because I think, like several people, he got told by people that he trusted, this is going to happen, it's going to happen soon, and then nothing happens. Because again, nothing happens. Nothing keeps happening about it. So if it did, pleasantly surprised. If it doesn't, not surprised at all. Because anytime anyone says anything about the takeover stuff, immediately now the response is
bullshit.
Every single time. That's it. That's my initial reaction to it. Finally, a bit of an update on Kobbie Mainoo. Some people have been wondering what's going on with his injury. Of course, he came off just after a couple of minutes against Real Madrid in that pre-season friendly. It was really disappointing, wasn't it? Not only because I actually think it really hurt United in terms of the game plan, but I was so excited to see how he was going to play against some world-class midfielders. Camavinga, Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Modric. What an opportunity for him. And just to come off of an injury anyway sucks. But after 2 minutes, like did he touch the ball? Probably not. So I felt so bad for him. Now, in terms of an actual update when it comes to the severity of the injury, what the injury is, how long he's going to be out for, we saw that he was in, I think it was a protective boot, leaving the stadium that night. He said on Instagram today, I'll be back stronger and in no time. Thank you for your messages of support. So a reaction from him, I guess not so much of an update really, but it really sucks. Again, it really sucks, and it's really unfortunate for him. The hope is that it wasn't too bad, a bit like the Ahmad injury, you know, when Ahmad got hurt and then he came off against Arsenal, but then he was in the squad for the next game. I don't know if he's going to be in the squad for maybe the next game against Borussia Dortmund. I think technically he is in the squad. I saw that was announced, so maybe that's a good indication too. He might just still be there, maybe receiving treatment or something like that. I did see comments from Bruno Fernandes and others saying we hope to see you soon. So maybe the hope is it was just a massive, precautionary thing, and he's going to be fine. Maybe he doesn't play against Dortmund, but he might be available for the 2 pre-season games in the UK against Lens and Bilbao in Manchester and Dublin, respectively. Maybe that's the situation. If it is, that's great, because I really did think play well against Real Madrid, play well against Dortmund, and there's a real chance that he could be starting when it comes to the season starting. Irrespective of we've signed Mount and Christian Eriksen being available or whatever, if you're playing against Arsenal and you're playing against Real Madrid in the starting lineup of both games, and you look at the rest of the team that Ten Hag selected, it's not like it's not a courtesy selection of let's just put a youngster in. It's no, this guy's the real deal, and I think he could play a part. He's gonna play a part this season. So if he plays, again, maybe not Dortmund, maybe that's too soon, but if he plays in any of those other 2 and he starts, I think there's a real chance. That first game of the season at home against Wolves, that's almost the perfect scenario for him. No disrespect to Wolves, but first game of the season against a team you're expected to beat, that would be perfect for him. And then maybe he can get a real big footer in the United team. And you never know. You never know. When it comes to young players coming through, it's all about opportunity and it's all about timing, isn't it? Look at Marcus Rashford. His career at United is because we had so many injuries and Martial got injured in a warm-up. And look at him now. Look how much money he's on now. It's about timing and about a bit of luck. And unfortunately, that was bad luck for Kobbie Mainoo with that injury. But again, here's hoping it's not too bad and he can still play a part. Because I really do think he's got a big role to play this season. I think it could be really, really significant, certainly. What else have we got? Another super chat from Red Devils 99 says, not one day, Owen, it will be on a Thursday. I tell you what, Red Devils, yeah, if there ever comes the day that the takeover thing is sorted and it's sorted on a Thursday, a KG Thursday, I don't think we'll ever live it down, honestly. I really don't. And it would be even more reckless from him because it was a Thursday. How many Thursdays ago was it at that point? Or has it been at this point now? It's got to be at least sort of 6. At least sort of 6 or 7. It might be like 100 Thursdays after or something like that. But KG will get it eventually, maybe. He is something else, but you never know of him, certainly. So there you go. Again, I see some people tweeting in the chat about the Fabrizio Romano thing. We have already covered that about Donny van de Beek. He's in talks with Real Sociedad, a remove, possibly a loan with an option to buy. So again, we've spoken about that too. So that's the latest transfer news covered. How many likes are we at? How many did we end up at in the end? Let's take a quick look. We ended at 448. So we're 50 away. Now it's literally just gone to 450. We are 50 likes away from 500. If we can get that as we're on our way out, we've still got over 1,000 people watching, nearly 1,200 people watching actually, which is great for a Friday, particularly a solo stream. So if you haven't already, click that like button. We're nearly there. Speaking of nearly there as well, we're currently at 148,577 subscribers. We're nearly there when it comes to 150. Road to 150k. Can you imagine? Before the season, 150k, that would be incroyable. So in addition to clicking the like button, if you haven't already, subscribe, bottom right hand corner. You know what it's like. I'm bad for this too with certain channels. There are some channels that I'll watch all the time and I just forget to subscribe. I'm a bit of a trial basis guy sometimes, you know. I can be like watching a channel every day and going, I really like this channel. I'm really enjoying this actually. This is great. And I don't subscribe for a while because I go, you know what, I want to wait for a bit. I want to wait for a bit, see if this is a regular thing or see if this is just flavor of the month sort of thing. And then I move on or anything like that. But yes, if you haven't already, subscribe bottom right hand corner as well. But there you go, guys. That's the latest transfer news. Be sure to smash a like on the like button as always. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. We'll be back with more transfer news over the weekend and pre-season content. You don't want to go anywhere. I'm out of here. Peace.